And I think now more than ever, in a space that's so oversaturated, there's always going to be room for an honest creative because no one can be you. Welcome to another creative podcast, where creative outcasts come together to share their stories so we can all feel a little less lonely. I'm your host, Janelle Marquez. Hello, everybody. Welcome to or back to the podcast. I'm excited to have this conversation with you guys today because this is a conversation that came about just because I was watching a lot of content that was made specifically to encourage people to make content. I've been making content like this lately just because it's the new year, and one of the goals with my podcast and like pretty much anything that I do and put out is to encourage other people, whether you're already a creator or a creative or just a normal person who lives their lives. I want to encourage you guys to create content and put yourself out there, or in general just be creative. And I noticed a theme amongst a lot of people who are successful in the creator space. And one of the themes that I started to notice was this idea of an honest creator. Janelle, what is an honest creator? Well, I don't really think there's a definition out there for it, but like my interpretation of what I consider to be an honest creator is someone who is okay with being vulnerable, someone that's okay with being real on camera and showing their emotions, but also showing the complexity of all the feelings that come with being a real human. And this type of creator is relatable, and they are able to invite you into their world while still making you feel like you're part of their journey, even though you are the viewer at home. And I feel like these are the creators that people are like championing behind and rooting for their success because they almost feel like they are part of it. And I feel like we don't see too many examples of this creator because it's such a saturated space. But if you really took the time to dissect people's content and honestly just binge watch a whole bunch of people like I have been able to, you would then be able to see this pattern that I have found. Now, if you're asking me personally, Janelle, who would like not be considered this type of creator? Like right off the top of my head, I'd say someone like Mr. Beast. I believe that he's just someone who's kind of lost the plot and it's paid off for him, but he's definitely not relatable. He is not really vulnerable at all, and honestly doesn't even show real emotions. And I'd also say like somebody who like more of my listeners may be able to relate to, that's an example of what an honest creator is not, is Jaclyn Hill, especially if you grew up watching YouTube in like the 2016 era, because she has just turned out to be someone that I no longer find relatable, or I no longer find motivating and engaging to watch. And pretty much my point of like showing examples of what this type of creator is not is just anyone who's a sellout or a fraud or just doesn't serve any sort of purpose for their audience. Yeah. However, I do have examples of who I would find to be these types of creators, and these examples are all based off like people I've seen. And a very well-known creator, I think, kind of falls under this category is Neistat. Some people would say he is a sellout. I really wouldn't go as far to say that, and once again, I probably am biased because one of the reasons why I consider him to be an honest creator is that he does show so much real, raw things happening in his life, and he takes us on the journey and he finds the story and everything, which inspires viewers and other creators to also do that same thing. And a lesser known creative or creator that I also would consider to be an honest creator is Chelsea Callahan. I sometimes struggle to watch her videos just because, I don't know, she's like not the type of person I would normally watch. However, I do find a lot of her content and storytelling to be very well done, and I really appreciate that she really brings her viewers along for a ride. And I find her content to just always be very engaging, and she's reached over 100,000 subscribers across YouTube and does it full time, so she's doing something right. And in my eyes, I think that's because she is what I consider to be an honest creator. Another person I consider to be an honest creator who I did kind of think was a sellout, but is actually not, or at least like now I don't think so, is Bailey Sarian. I discovered her through her Murder, Mystery, and Makeup Monday videos, or whatever the series was. But she recently posted a video that has over 2 million views right now, and it's pretty much like a cry for like, what the heck are we doing as a society, as she was diving into the Epstein files. And I just find that it was really bold of her to have such a large platform. Like, her quality of content is just such a high production that I was just shocked that she went ahead and posted something like that. But it's because she felt like she needed to have this conversation with her audience and the people of the internet. And I admire that so greatly, because I think that's exactly what honest creators do with their platforms, is that they want to open the doors and have conversations they believe should exist in the world that we live in, no matter how hard and honest these conversations can be. So now that we have identified what I consider to be an honest creative and examples of who this could possibly be, I want to talk about why these creators win and what we can learn from them. This first point is something that I think is what people would consider like the thing that keeps us drawn in. And I think it's a reason why TikTok has been so popular over the years. And that is honesty. Honesty is mostly at the forefront of a lot of these creators' content, and being vulnerable is something that they are okay with doing, and they're okay with letting you into these parts of their lives that most people would not normally let us into. I think by them showing this type of honesty, it draws viewers in, it keeps them engaged longer, and it also feels like they're almost FaceTiming with their best friend and getting all the tea, which is essentially why so many of us love TikTok, because that's what so many creators have done on this platform. And essentially people just like shitpost all their thoughts. And so many of these creators go viral because of those honest, raw thoughts that most people wouldn't normally be putting out there, but people are excited to relate to and engage with because it feels like a real human interaction. But I don't think this is the only thing that's part of why the honest creator wins when it comes to content creation. I think a really big thing that a lot of people don't do well when it comes to long form content or just creating content in general is finding the narrative. Your viewers want to be taken on a journey. They want to follow along and see, do you do the thing? Do you not do the thing? How many failures do you have before you get to the thing you succeed? Do you even succeed in what you're trying to achieve? Like, people want to be drawn in and be taken along for a ride. That's how people stay engaged and stay consuming your content for a longer period of time. That's why series and follow me along type of content does so well on social media, particularly on TikTok. An honest creator understands that the key to storytelling is to create a connection between the viewer and the art they're consuming. And when you put those two things together, you have, well, engagement. To piggyback on that, the honest creator also values their community and building connections and having conversations versus numbers, views, and likes. They understand that content creation is a long game, and without community, without support, you have nothing. Brands will not pay you to talk about their products, to showcase their products, to sell their products in your videos if you don't have a community behind your content to support that. They don't want people who don't have audiences. They don't want people who don't have strong audiences. They want to know that if they're giving you a discount code and paying you for a brand deal, that something's going to get sold because you have a trusting community that trusts your word. And honest creators do that very well. A lot of them also have a slower growth because they're playing the long game, and their purpose for why they're creating content goes beyond just getting rich and famous, becoming a full-time creator. There's something else that drives them to create the things they do and share the things they do. The other thing about the honest creator and why I think they win, and this is a good point that I didn't think about too much until I started breaking down this episode, but another theme that I kept seeing was that they offer some sort of value to their viewers when it comes to the content they're putting out. They're either giving us something to think about, something to laugh about, or we're crying with them. They're creating some sort of content with intention and with some sort of message theme they're trying to achieve. And something I like to always, bring up and talk about when I can to other creatives is that we're given this superpower as creatives to create something and put it out into the world if we choose to, that allows us to convey some sort of feeling or message with other people in the universe. And that's such a powerful gift. It's almost like we're sorcerers and we're able to, use our magic and all that lies within our brains to create something that makes people feel something. And what a special thing that is, at least in my opinion. And if you're someone who's looking to create content or just put yourself out there in a creative space, I want you to think about what kind of value you're providing to your audiences. And I feel like that could really help you think about what your purpose is in doing so. And I bring this up because another common theme I kept finding amongst honest creators is that they're usually consistent. And one really good way to stay consistent with the things that you do is to be passionate about what you're doing, or to have some sort of purpose behind why it is you're doing what you're doing. And the thing about purpose is that it actually has to be strong, and it really has to be that one thing that lights a fire underneath you and sparks something within. It fuels you and keeps you going. And I think it's really easy to see that in an honest creator because they're able to create content and do what they do because of that purpose. And that's not easy. It takes a lot of discipline and hard work to be able to find the magic in your day-to-day life or in the world that you see around you. And it takes a lot of intention and thought to be able to find the story in everything. And I think honest creators are always recognizing that there is a story to be told in whatever it is that they're sharing. And I feel like that's just some good food for thought. Last but not least, I find that the honest creator is usually authentically themselves. I am not gonna lie, I've never found creating content to ever be weird for me. I feel like my content is an extension of who I am when you meet me in person. And it always blows my mind when I meet people or when I was helping people create content for themselves. It always blew my mind when I would see people just immediately switch off who they are the moment the camera started recording. And I just didn't get it. And to be honest, I still don't get it, but I actually have given it a lot of thought as I've gotten older. And I truly think that the honest creator wins. And I'm going to consider myself in this category. Disagree or agree with me if you'd like, but I think it's because we are just simply existing while the camera records. There's no smoke and mirrors because you can't turn off who you are most of the time. I mean, you can, and that's like why actors exist. And, that whole thing, that's a really good argument, actually, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. I'm here to point out that the honest creator shows their true vulnerable self, and that's how they win, because you know what you're getting. You kind of know what to expect because it's how they're always showing up. And if you're lucky to meet an honest creator in person, you should feel like you're just meeting a friend. I have met some creators that I watch online in person, and I have seen this theme where I'm just so lucky to say that I'm so happy I've met them and they've been so kind and sweet because their authentic self is coming off across on their social platforms. And I encourage anyone to get into content creation to just act like you're talking to a friend, a family member, maybe not a family member that's like your mom or dad, but like, unless you have that relationship with them, but like maybe like a cousin or like your sibling. But I really encourage you to talk to the camera as if this is someone you're just so comfortable with, because your viewers will be able to see that and they can feel it. And getting comfortable in front of the camera is a lot of trial and error. But for me as a kid, I always performed, whether it was like on stage for a talent show or improv or dance. And I never felt like I was acting or putting on a show because I always felt like these things were just like different versions of myself. And I feel like that kind of conveys in the way that I'm able to create content and why it's always been something that's natural to me. And to be fair, I'm also quite chatty. So yapping is something that I kind of just get lost in and I forget what I'm doing. But, I think this point is a good take-home point to kind of end the episode on, because I think the honest creator always wins when it comes to content creation, because they're just simply being honest and vulnerable and real. And in a world that's just so curated and always chasing perfection, especially online, I think it's refreshing to see people live like real humans and have emotions like real humans and experience things that so many of us feel and go through universally or on certain levels, but like just to find a community that where you can feel heard and seen. I just think that's really important. And I think now more than ever in a space that's so oversaturated, there's always going to be room for an honest creative, because no one can be you. They can do the things you do, but they can't be you. They can't do it like you. And that's what matters most. And I want my listeners to know that being yourself is enough. And even if you may not feel the most confident or comfortable on camera or putting yourself out there online, it's like a muscle. You have to keep putting yourself out there and keep showing up and keep trying until you no longer feel this discomfort. And the moment you stop feeling discomfort and you gain this confidence in yourself as a creator, you're going to have a breakthrough in your content. And trust me, this will happen, because even honest creators experience this, especially when they're just starting out. That authenticity, your viewers can feel it. And that's when the human connection online starts to form, and then you are able to grow a community over time. Just be patient, like all honest creators. But yeah, that's kind of the conversation I wanted to have today. It's a bit of a shorter conversation. It's a bit of a sweeter conversation, because honestly, this conversation just stemmed from, oh my gosh, take a shot every time I say honest, you will have a day. No, but seriously, this is just an episode that has stemmed from random thought that I had. And I do like having these episodes every now and then, because these are observations that I hope other people can make and see. And I'm curious, like, what kind of conversations stem from this. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is to just have these interesting conversations and think about how, others show up in the world and what we can take from them. But also, I hope this can inspire anyone else out there on how they can move a little bit differently in the creator space. So I hope that when you listen to this, you can leave feeling a little bit more inspired or motivated, or maybe just have some food for thought. That's kind of all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!